Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm Sheldon and this is Behind the Enthusiast. Today we are getting back into the ATV flat track build. I know it's been a while. The last thing we did was basically put it back together after the winter. So we put the carburetor back on and the gas tank. However, I ran into a little bit of a problem, and that was as soon as I put gas in it, it started to leak. So yet again, another problem with the ATV, so we're going to solve that today by changing out the fuel valve with a brand new one. So let's get into it. So first things first, you guys are going to want to make sure that your fuel valve is off. Hopefully you're able to turn it off. Mine is stripped, so it was a little bit tricky, but as you guys can see here, a little bit of residual fuel in the line, but I disconnected the line. And then I'm going to, obviously I drained it a little bit into this pan here. And then I'm going to tuck it up in here, just to kind of keep it out of the way. And then, like I said, make sure that fuel valve is off. You don't want it to be leaking out while you're taking the tank off. So if you can, put it in the off position, take the bolt out of the frame there, which holds the fuel tank on. And then, of course, you're going to want to lift it up. Now, as you can see here, lift it up. And when you're pulling it back and out, you want to make sure that you're not going to clip the fuel valve. You don't want to cause any more damage, let's put it that way, than necessary. The next step, I put the fuel tank on sideways, so that the fuel valve was clear there, so it's not resting on the actual fuel valve. This is just temporary. So I did it that way, and then I'm going to be draining it into the pan, but I'm going to be tipping it over to do that. So before you do that, you want to wipe it out, which is what I've done here. Get rid of all those little particles and crap that were in the gas from the initial drainage. And then I'm going to have that new fuel valve, brand new from Yamaha, genuine part. And this is the draining process here. Super easy, super simple, very straightforward. Don't have to worry about making a mess here. However, there was a lot of gas in there. This drain pan, which I was using, which is actually from lasagna, funny enough, was just barely big enough to actually hold all the gas. Actually, there was still a little bit of gas left in there. Wasn't quite able to get all of it out, but it was pretty darn close. As you can see here, it almost didn't hold all the fuel, so I did have to stop at that point. Now here on the underside, you can see very, very dirty. There's two screws holding the fuel valve on, and you want to take those off and just grab your Phillips. All the gas is drained out more or less, so I've got this upside down right now. Because here is the leak. This is the problem. So it was just pissing fuel out here all over the bike, and I don't know where the leak was coming from, but as you can see, leaked out all in the trailer as well. So that's not good. You don't want gas anywhere. And this is the brand new fuel valve. Like I said, this is a genuine Yamaha part. There's the part number for you guys for reference if you need it. And then we're going to put on the new one. No messing around here as well. I've got brand new hardware. Again, part numbers are there. I grabbed two of these. Just wanted to start over new, right? I don't want to mess around with any of these things. And so here, we're going to be taking those screws out. Make sure that you are applying the correct pressure because you don't want to strip these. Here I'm struggling a little bit. There you go. There's that snap. Once that little snap, you hear that it's a break, so it's loose. And then just be very careful with your hardware. This, you can kind of see a comparison between the new and the old. The old one, it doesn't look too bad, but I'm going to keep those ones as spares. I'm going to put the brand new ones in because I don't want to mess around here. I don't want to have to redo this whole process and find out that it's going to leak again. So Here is the actual removal. It's very, very tricky because you have fuel filters in there which might actually get stuck. So it might be a little bit tricky. You guys might actually have to come in at a different angle to try to remove these. And you want to be very careful with this because, as you guys can see here, I'm struggling a little bit to remove it. And the last thing you really want to do is to break things, especially if this were perhaps something you're going to be reusing. But here you go. I did manage to get it out. The fuel filter, maybe it's just a little bit, oversized now, a little bit swollen, a little bit sticky perhaps. That's why it was a little bit tricky to get it out. But it's out. And of course, here is the bottom. Very, very dirty. So obviously a lot of crud buildup there. The holes, those two holes there, that was where the fuel filters ran, and then the outer perimeter, that was where the gasket was. And as you guys can see here, I'm going to bring it into the light for you. Pretty dirty. Not very good. You definitely don't want to be using something like this. So you would either clean it or grab a brand new one. Even the gasket there doesn't look the greatest. It looks pretty worn, pretty flat. Doesn't look like it's going to be doing a whole lot. Maybe that's why the gas was leaking out. Maybe the gasket plus the stripped valve. You guys may not have been able to see that, but the valve was stripped. And of course, before we put on the new one, we got to clean all of that crap off. So mainly just dirt. I don't think there was really anything else there. So I just basically took a rag, got it wet. So I'm just using a damp rag here just to clean off all that dirt. And that should be good. You guys can always use rubbing alcohol if you want. Just don't go and use, really harsh solvents or anything like that, because you are dealing with a plastic gas tank. So you want to be very mindful of what chemicals you are using to clean the surface. That's why I just opted to go for plain old warm water on a rag. Just clean it out that way. And here I'm trying to get just the lip where those filters are going to be slotted in on the new one. Figured I would just try to get a little bit of that out. As you can see, they're just a little bit there. So I wanted to make sure that this thing was 100% clean, which now I believe it is. So basically just give it one last check over here. And there you go. So looks like it is ready to go. Don't have to worry about any mess at all because they're strictly using warm water. This is the new one. This thing looks great. There's a little clear sleeve on there. You have to remove that. And then obviously we got a comparison here of the new and old one. So the old one, it doesn't have that plastic sleeve on the outside that is just to protect it while it's in the box. So you want to make sure you remove that before you put it on. And then of course I have the new one in here with the new screws. So I'm going to be tightening that up. Now you want to make sure that it's going to be snug, but you don't want to over tighten it. You want to do the top and the bottom alternating. As you can see, I'm just snugging them up a little bit here. Going back down to the bottom one, snugging that up a little bit. So at this point, I'm pretty sure it's good. I can switch over to my left hand because it's not as strong, but I want to make sure that it's, firm, but I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to, I don't want to have any leaks, let's be honest here, because I've already had leaks. So I'm trying to make sure that it's set and ready to go now. Give it maybe a little bit of the wiggle test there just to make sure that it's on. And there is some residual gas in there, so you can kind of tip it upside down, see if it leaks out. It's not leaking, so that's obviously a good sign. And now we can get ready to put gas back into it. And obviously the more gas you have in there, the greater the pressure on the new seals. So obviously while you're putting new gas in and filling it back up, if you notice a leak, well, maybe you didn't tighten it quite enough. So you gotta keep that Phillips screwdriver handy just in case you need to tighten it again. And of course, I was a little bit stubborn. Stubborn man here. I forgot or didn't want to use a funnel, and as you guys can see, oh man, I made a mess. A complete mess here. I dumped out probably half the fuel that I was trying to save. I was trying to reuse it here, and ended up giving the gas tank a bath. So definitely not the cheapest way to clean your gas tank, but obviously if the fuel is in the tank, it doesn't matter if it's outside of the tank because clearly it's not going to damage it, but definitely a pain in the butt because now you have to clean it all off. It is going to evaporate, obviously, but you know, for installing it and handling it, I wanted to make sure that it was clean before I started putting it back on. Plus, you don't really want to have gas everywhere. Here's the new valve, looking really, really nice. As you guys can see, the new bolts, new screws that are in there. So looking sharp. No more stripped valve. So that is ready to go. This is the old one. Look how cruddy it is. Look how so much gunked up and just so much crud there. Definitely needed to change that thing out with this brand new one. So much better. So glad that I just decided to spend the money on a new one. Now we got the gas tank. Remember those two fingers? Slot those in. They drop down a little bit and then you push it just a little bit further to lock it in place for this bolt to go in. And that you just tighten up with your ratchet. Super, super easy. It's probably one of the easiest gas tanks ever that I know of to install. And of course the fuel valve, make sure that is off. You're good to go there because you have to connect this hose up. So make sure that that's in the off position or you're gonna have a mess again. And once it's ready, you can turn it on, but we're not quite there yet. So we're almost there. Fingers crossed that this is good to go. And as you guys can see here, I wheeled the ATV outside for hopefully what is going to be a startup. Well guys, what did you think of that video? Hopefully, step by step, it was pretty easy to understand. If there's anything you guys have any questions about, leave a comment down below. And of course, gotta get this thing running. Still sounds like I have a little bit of a problem, as you guys can see there at the end. I was trying to start it. So looks like I'm gonna be in for a little bit more diagnosing on this machine. I just can't get a break right now. So fingers crossed for the next video that I finally figure out the problem with this machine. It was running before I put it away and now I have some sort of issue. Not entirely sure what it is, but I will be diagnosing it. So the next video hopefully will be the last one for me trying to figure this thing out, because I need to have this thing running. You know, this summer has been full of ups and downs with my injuries and, you know, feeling good and then feeling bad again and feeling worse and then feeling good again. And today, feeling relatively good. However, I also need a machine to ride. The Kawasaki is great. I rode that once this season. However, the ATV, this is an ongoing build series because this thing is supposed to be done. So hopefully it'll be done for the end of this season for one final race. If not, it is what it is. This summer has not been going my way. However, a few other things coming up on the channel which are definitely on a positive note. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure to smash that like button so I know that it's working. And oh man, this beautiful weather. Hit the subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on future content on the channel. especially when I have nice weather like this, I will be doing a lot more content because this allows me to do everything that I need to do. I'm not stuck inside. I don't have to worry about the rain. This is beautiful, beautiful weather. So stay tuned, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.